I'd like to welcome you to PACE's meeting on accountability policy in California. I'm David Plank. I'm the Executive Director of PACE, Policy Analysis for California Education. And I've been the Executive Director of PACE since 2007. And when I came to California in 2007, Governor Schwarzenegger, shortly after I got here, announced that 2008 would be the year of education. And it turned out that it wasn't, and nor was 2009, nor 2010, nor 11, nor 12. But 2014 might actually be the year of education, it looks like now. The changes that have taken place in 2013 portend a lot of positive change in California's education system over the next couple of years. And so the promise of Governor Schwarzenegger's promise has finally been fulfilled for me. The purpose of today's meeting is to talk about some fairly dramatic changes that are going on in accountability policy in California. We're coming to the end of 20 years of what was known as standards-based accountability, which really originated here in California, where the theory of accountability is that we set explicit expectations for what students should know and be able to do. We measure against those standards, against those expectations. And then we either provide support or sanctions to schools, teachers whose students don't meet the expectations. So we've had the Public School Accountability Act in California, No Child Left Behind at the national level. And that strategy of accountability has produced some real gains for students in California and nationally, and has drawn attention to achievement gaps and other issues in the education system that were not readily apparent without that kind of accountability data. But we're now entering a moment where California, at least, is making dramatic changes in our accountability framework. And we're not walking away from standards-based accountability as our commitment to Common Core state standards and the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium demonstrate. But standards-based accountability is no longer the whole story, and it's no longer necessarily even at the center of the story. So the question that we're facing now is what will California's new accountability policy be? And there are three big ideas that are currently in operation, which are guided by very different theories of how accountability works, who should be accountable for what. The first is what we might characterize as an evolution of standards-based accountability that focuses on Common Core implementation, on the new assessments that Smarter Balanced is producing. That has had its legislative enactments in SB 1458, which revised the Academic Performance Index, in AB 484, which committed California to full speed ahead implementation of Smarter Balanced assessments. A second theory is the theory embodied in the local control accountability plans. And this, at least in its core assumptions, is a political theory of accountability, that the people who should really be held accountable for the performance of schools are school boards, local school boards, and the voters who elect them. And if the schools aren't doing the job that we expect them to do, then we should change local leadership. We should put other people in charge. And a third model of accountability is the model that is presented in the waiver application of the California Office to Reform Education, CORE, which is actually a professional accountability model, that educators have a moral imperative to do their best for their kids, to ensure success for their kids. And they should be accountable to that moral imperative, but also to one another. If they're having problems, if a school is having problems, it should look for more successful schools and try to learn how to do things better. If a teacher is having problems with a particular student or a particular topic, she should look to her colleagues to provide her with the support and assistance that she needs. So with these three quite different models of accountability sort of in simultaneous rollout at the present time, there are really two big questions that I'd like to raise at the beginning of the meeting. The first is how do these three different systems of accountability work together? Do they conduce to the same ends, or are they in fact operating towards different purposes? And the second is whether the three together, or any of the three, is going to be sufficient to sustain the progress that we've seen for California schools and students over the last several years. So we're fortunate as to have really outstanding speakers on all of these subjects. I'm going to introduce the first three quickly now, and then invite Deb Sigmund to come up and begin the program. The first speaker is Deb Sigmund, who is the Deputy Superintendent of the District School and Innovation Branch in the California Department of Education, which promotes improved student achievement. I always loved reading Deb's job responsibilities. Her responsibilities include student assessment, intervention, federally funded education programs, state and federal accountability, educational data, and charter schools. And then I guess there's another person who does everything else. Okay. So anyway, it's an intimidating list, but Deb's taken care of. She's also an elected member of the Smarter Balanced Assessment Consortium Executive Committee and serves as the Vice Chair of the National Assessment Governing Board CCSSO Policy Task Force. After Deb speaks, we'll ask Jonathan Raymond to come up. Jonathan is the Superintendent of the Sacramento City Unified School District. Before coming to Sacramento, he served as the Chief Accountability Officer for the Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools in North Carolina. Before going to Charlotte-Mecklenburg, he worked in a variety of other capacities. He was the President and CEO of the nonprofit Boston-based Commonwealth Corporation, a Deputy Director in the Massachusetts Department of Labor and Workforce Development, and an attorney specializing in business and labor law. And finally, we'll ask Sue Burr to come up and talk about the local control accountability plans. Sue is a member of the State Board of Education, who previously served as the Executive Director of the Board of Education and as an Education Policy Advisor to Governor Jerry Brown from 2011 to 2012. Before that, she was the Executive Director of the California County Superintendent's Educational Services Association, CSESA, from 2006 to 2011, and served as the association's governmental relations director from 2003 to 2006. And after the three presentations, we'll have a reaction panel, and I will introduce the panel at that time. So with that, I'd like to welcome Deb to the podium.